Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Such a morning, right?
I'm April Martinez.
And I'm Paul Lopez.
Good morning. It's July 7th and it's Tuesday. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning. It is, in fact, Tuesday, July 7th.
Yes.
And I want to say that wherever you are this morning, I hope that you're having a lovely morning. And I want to thank you for starting your morning right with us, right here on Open Your Eyes. Tuesday is a big day these days, April. One of the reasons why is that, well, I get to be here and celebrate life, celebrate amazing things and have amazing conversation with our audience. But it's also KTV, the remix.
It
day,
is
right?
officially summer because
Yeah.
KTV, the remix is on. And of course, if you are edged on your seat for tonight's premiere over at the Bliss, you're going to hear more about the inner 5 things. But
Indeed.
Paul, we have a lovely Tuesday show lineup. So come on over here with me so that I can give you all the tips that we're going to be giving you all this morning.
Indeed.
Our first conversation starts with leading with purpose. We know that there is a huge mayoral candidate race taking place on both sides of the aisles, whether that's PUP and UDP. And we have Jackie Willoughby that will be on the couch with us talking about her mayoral bid. Our next conversation is to recognize, prevent, and protect. Anti-trafficking awareness in action. We're going to have the folks from the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council to talk to us more about that. And in our third and final conversation, going in on the more healthier side, chicken gone up, so we have to have more ways of figuring out our meal prep. And healthy eating with Lean Belize is going to be in to discuss that and more. But Paul, what are the 5 things we need to know this morning?
Yeah, April, certainly some excellent conversations to be had this morning. Now, in terms of the 5 things you need to know, here's the first conversation. Where is the sarcasm response for Belize City? We've been hearing about sarcasm response and relief all across coastal communities here in Belize. Well, we haven't been hearing much about Belize City. That is until the conversation arose over the weekend when we saw this. All this sarcasm along the Belize City's coast, around Princess area, Ramada. So we'll be having a discussion on that. Then our second conversation is your voters' registration up to date? Amidst all the political conversation, one thing is important: up to date. Thirdly, CARICOM Summit opens with a call for unity amid leadership tensions. It appears as if this Dr. Carla Barnett, Secretary General issue isn't going anywhere as heads of government meet this week in the region. Love chicken, your wallet won't. The price of whole chicken went up by 16 cents. Connected is that this is the second increase we've seen for this year. We're going to be talking about that. And last but certainly not least, who profited during the BDF rations crisis? You know, sometimes you have to keep those receipts, and we keep receipts in the media. And when we went back to look at those stories from a couple years back, it was very telling and revealing regarding reports of shortages of rations within the Belize Defense Force. So we'll be taking a look at that as well in our 5 things.
Excellent, Paul. But before we get into all of that, we want to say good morning to all of our viewers that are watching online. Francisco Madrid, I see you. Good morning. We also want to say good morning, Michelle. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us today. Good morning, Samson Jacobs. To all of our viewers that wake up 6:30 in the morning and start their morning right here with us on Open Your Eyes. But the sargassum here, Paul, in Belize City has finally reached the coastlines. And I feel that it's starting to become more and more of an issue. We've seen it kind of like move from the southern part of the country. I don't see it as much in Hopkins and Placencia anymore. And of course, San Pedro and Kikaka are still battling with it, but it seems to now be settling along the coastlines of Belize City. And I don't know if well, we're hearing more talks about, you know, discussing with the task force. There's already a sargassum task force in San Pedro. Perhaps the CMO and the Belize City Council will now coordinate with that task force to see what can be done here in Belize City, but it's coming very, very quickly.
Yeah, so the task force was established to look at the issue across the country.
Yeah.
They're, of course, primarily been focused on Belize, on San Pedro, Kikaka, Placencia, Hopkins, and these areas. And yeah, the task force, they're not hands-on on the issue in that they actually go out and conduct the cleanup, right? These are technocrats, these are bureaucrats, these are people that put together assemble the plan, look for the finances, that sort of thing.
They're also trying to find innovative ways to see what they can do with
that's
this
right.
sargassum.
So they consider the approaches. At the end of the day, that's what they do. What is needed here in Belize City is actually now along Moors and going behind Princess Ramada.
Yeah.
It caught a lot of people by surprise over the weekend, and it just shows how quickly sargassum can become an issue along the coast, and it speaks to the times that we're living in. Whereas, and I think the mayor pointed it out yesterday, whereas when we thought about natural disasters, we in Belize City used to have conversations about storms and hurricanes, and in some case erosion and heat waves. And now we're having conversations about sargassum here in Belize City. I mean, I've seen sargassum washed ashore along Belize City before in the years I've lived here. I think, though, it used to wash away pretty fast. It used to just move away pretty fast.
Because there's not a shoreline, right?
Yeah.
You got Belize City is a wall in itself. There are very little places that have like a sand coast. So
But
I'm very, very curious to see how it's traveling, how it's settling, because normally that's what it uses to settle, right?
Right. Well, here we're seeing some of what's taking place in that it is settling along the seawall, and then it's just building and building and moving out. But for Moors, this is certainly an issue. These businesses can certainly take a page out of the experiences of businesses on the islands and along the coast, the complaints, the concerns. Their complaints here in Belize City will simply mirror what we've already seen and what we've already heard. Customers don't want to come and smell that, which at the end of the day means businesses will lose, which now becomes an issue for the commerce aspect or responsibilities of the city council itself, but also for the cleanup aspect, thinking about public health and how this could pose a hazard to residents in the city.
I think Belize City will have to be a little bit more innovative in what it does with the sargassum cleanup, because I know in the islands and in the coastal areas that have sand, they utilize the sargassum as fill. Right? And so that's why I'm saying like the task force is a little bit more instrumental here to see what and how they can actually get rid of it, because where are you going to put it in Belize City? One. And then two, how I know that you have to kind of physically go into the water. I remember when we were in Placencia, I saw this very innovative way of what they're doing with it as it reaches the shoreline. But I think for Belize, now you have to actually like physically get in the water and
perhaps the
get
benefit of being on the mainland is that there's many ways, many land in terms of like areas and options to perhaps create landfill or dump it or dig a hole. I'm not sure what's the more environmentally effective and the proper way to dispose of it, right? But yeah, certainly that's a conversation that has to be had. You know what we're not getting rid of anytime soon? The rising cost of chicken prices.
He's not telling about the chicken prices.
And I think we have
chicken
to
pins.
jump into that as our second conversation, April, because yesterday we heard from the Belize Poultry Association that they have approved, let's say approved, Lucy, because the price of chicken, the cost of chicken is not regulated, so it's not like a set price and you can't go up or go down. But what the Belize Poultry Association does is that it meets with its members and they decide on a price that everyone agrees with in terms of increases so as to keep the price on the market stable, so as to avoid price gouging, so as to, for one business not to be able to say, well, our charge this amount, and then another business say I charge this amount. There's sort of like an agreement as to how much chicken will cost the different stores, right? Especially the distributors and the retailers. So there's an agreement, and that agreement, well, now they're at a point where they're saying, the industry is saying we have to increase the cost of chicken by 12 cents, this time around, and they attribute it to two things. The first thing that the association is saying is that the cost of the premix that they use to create the chicken feed has increased significantly. They import that premix from Europe, Netherlands, if I'm not mistaken, and so that has increased. And now, while we produce the feed here in Belize, the premix comes from outside the country, and because that has increased the price of that, so now that cost that the mill is taking on, they're passing to the producers, the chicken producers, the poultry producers, and the poultry producers, they're passing it on to the distributors, and in some cases the distributors are the producers, and just overall they have to pass it on to somebody, and that's where now the cost is being passed on to the consumers so as to stabilize the industry so that they don't suffer so much losses and then are unable to operate.
It's just one of those examples that I think Paul shows us that even though we produce the product here in Belize, we still have to import other items or resources to ensure that our products are healthy and so forth for us to eat.
Then they meet the standards.
Right? And yes, have to meet the quality standards of our food laws and so on. But also, I really appreciated the breakdown from the president of the Poultry Association, where he said, listen, it's not just the premix, it's the fuel that you have to use to, bring in the premix. You have to take it to the different productions and the production areas. You have to make sure from then you distribute it countrywide, and you have to have fuel for all of that. And so we're all really experiencing the load, Paul, of this global inflation that is taking place, because we often talk about fuel prices increasing across the world, and this war that is taking place and how it affects us, and we don't necessarily see it all the time. This is a primary example of how it definitely affects us. Because whatever is happening over there and their reasoning for increasing the price, I imagine that is a trickle effect for us smaller countries that have to import that particular premix.
No, we're talking, and that's the bigger picture. You're talking here, You're talking here international, global economy. You're talking here regional import. But where the rubber really meets the road
It's us, our
is
pockets.
when you go and you open that fridge at your preferred distributor, and you pull out that whole chicken or that chicken breast or
Chicken
the
cuts.
chicken cuts or your ground chicken. And they tell you everything I buy when I go to the grocery.
At this point,
And
it's neck and back soup till it can't
Nah,
go no more, because
I mean, I'm not saying that, right? Because
Nothing wrong
you
with
have to, no, nothing wrong with that, but you have to, like, people buy the
Whole
other
chickens
products,
and
right?
other
That
parts.
it's common
Yes.
on a weekly basis. And I'm an average chicken buyer. Like every time
think most Belizeans
I go and I make a grocery list, chicken is usually on the list.
Yes.
But I think it really began to dawn on me how pricey chicken really is and how expensive it is becoming when I began to personally go in the store with my wife and I began to personally pick up the chicken and put it in the bag, I carry it to the counter, and I say, all right, 2 chicken cuts. Bing, bing, bing. They ring it up, $40, $45. I said, no, man.
Not for this.
So I'm thinking, all right, so a part of the grocery budget, a huge part of the percentage of the grocery budget has to go towards meat, and that's really just the effect of it. That's when the rubber meets the road, when you begin to see the high cost and you really begin to look at it on your receipt and in
that
your
doesn't
budget.
necessarily include other different retail areas that price gouge, right?
Yeah.
You're looking at an entire part of the economic community where we as consumers, we have to check which store will have it cheaper because I really can't afford 12 cents more on my pocket. And that's not, and we're just talking about buying the raw product from the store. If you are somebody that perhaps eats out and you're somebody that buys your food from the person down the street, I was listening to the news about what the amount of money that the soldiers get for the plate, and I heard $13 a day for their meal, and I'd like, absolutely not. There is no place right now where I could buy one plate of food for $13.
I think that's a good transition
right?
to the next conversation,
Yes.
April, about the BDF rations, as we looked back at a story or several interviews we did in late 2023 and early 2024. And I had to check the numbers again about that $13 thing, because it was the then commander of the Belize Defense Force who referenced that number in his interview. He said that back in the days when he was, just an ordinary soldier, if you would, that they used to go on $5-6 a day for food, and now it's gone up almost double to $13, and this was at the end of 2023. So who knows, maybe it went up a couple more dollars over the last 2 to 3 years. I don't know. I'll say 2 years. I don't know, but that's the last number we have on record. But it's also about what the conversations people have about the economies of scale, right? So I understand it to an extent. It's $13 per soldier, but when you add up a lot of $13, then you're able to go, you're talking millions of dollars at that point. And so when you make the purchase, then you make that $1 million purchase, then you could divide that food among the soldiers, and it's equivalent to $13 that you spent. But that's on the wholesale market, right? So I'm like, you have to look at it wholesale, because retail now $13 now will get you much. But yes, so $13 per soldier every single day. I think it could work. Honestly, I think it could work, because again, you have to think wholesale, think economies of scale.
Just the other day, and I'll give you my
but you
anecdote,
can't look at it. You can't look at it from $13 on the street.
No.
Right?
I'm
you have
thinking,
to look at it, the big,
still,
a small piece of the big pie, right? No, you don't think so?
None at
all.
all.
Right, look at here.
I'm so sorry, none at all. Like, even if you are looking at something, I know they're talking about healthier meals and so forth now, right? But even if you look at something like tin sausage, right? Tin sausage in its own is not even $3 anymore. You're looking at something that's like $5 for one.
Again,
I know you're talking about wholesale, but still, Paul.
You could probably get a deal in a government.
No, I can't. $13 a day?
Yeah.
No.
All right, I hear you.
No.
I hear you. Good. But that came out of a bigger story.
Yes.
A story about shortage shortage of rations in the Belize Defense Force. My thought process in approaching this story was to look at whether or not those interviews we did with the Prime Minister, the then Minister Florencio Marin, and the Minister of State, Mr. Mira at the time, to look at whether or not we missed something with those ration shortage. Because here we're talking about spending all this money for food for the Belize Defense Force, and yet at that time, only a couple years back, we were having conversations about shortages and reports about food shortage, so something was not connecting. And a few things stood out to me about those interviews, and I said, all right, we have to do something with this. The first thing we were hearing is that every person we talked to at that time was talking about moving towards a healthier diet.
Yes, I
for the
heard that
Belize
transition,
Defense
like
Force.
2023-ish.
Bringing in a nutritionist. So what that mean when you think healthy diet? Oh, more vegetables, more fresh produce. Well, that sort of aligns, well not sort of, it does align with the trends we're seeing in payments within the Belize Ministry of Defense and payments and purchases, right? With the Miras, with Kukulkan, with J&J Imports. These are providers of fresh produce. So here the ministry transitions into fresh produce and more healthy options for Belize Defense Force soldiers. And then on the other hand, you see these businesses emerge. Oh yeah, y'all want that? We have that for you. So that was one interesting connection. The other interesting connection was when the then Minister of State, Oscar Mira, said he's checked the records. And the records, he challenged me, the reporter, he said, if you check the records, you'll see that everything the Belize Defense Force soldiers need, or the officers they need, they have received, which says to me that he checked the record, which says to me that if he checked the record, it suggests that not only did he see how much the Belize Defense Force and the ministry by extension was purchasing and what they were purchasing, but that those records would have shown who was the providers at this time, whether it was Kukulkan, whether it was J&J Imports, whether it was a member of his family.
Him saying that he didn't know is also like a contradiction. Right. Because if he checked the records and he knows that they're eating healthier, then he knows who they're purchasing from.
Right. Right. You are able to speak on authority at that time and address an issue with such confidence to say, yeah, I know then they get what then they get. Then how you know that? You would have taken it upon yourself to find out, and in your inquiry you're telling me that you didn't see anything wrong with what was taking place. And what's even more interesting, finally, is that at that same time there had been allegations of hustling taking place in the purchase of these food rations, and that was a question that was brought up to Henry Charles Usher at the time, right? That was a question at the time that was brought up to him. I think it was a day we interviewed the Minister of State on the 25th of January 2024, and we interviewed Mr. Henry Charles, if not the same day, the day after, and asked him about allegations of hustling. And he said he knew nothing at the time, that there were no reports of hustling or corruptions where the purchase of these rations are concerned. And you have to take him at his word, at least at that time.
Yes.
But now that these allegations have surfaced and the myriad of leaks, then you have to say, all right, perhaps we missed something there. We should have probed that a little bit more, and perhaps this would have been uncovered a couple years back.
I want to read a comment from one of our viewers. He's Alejandro. He says, talking from outside, know nothing go on that PTL to see what they eat. He also made another comment saying, police even eat better than the soldiers. Come PM, try for me. Dogs eating sardines, no sir PM. So it seems that this person knows what's happening inside of those doors. And I think that I have to agree to say that if you're talking about eating healthy and looking at how you're sourcing certain foods, you have to think about certain things to Paul. When you buy vegetables for the week, right? How much vegetables you have to ration just for you and your small family, right? To ensure that, one, the vegetables not go rotten. Two, you ensure that the product fresh when you get it. Three, they are the ones that are all the way in the outskirts. So by the time they get their vegetables, you sure that anything very freshly made. You're talking about a place that is centered in the middle of the country, distributing to all parts of the country for these soldiers, right? And we're not talking about Coco Can and J&J, right? We're talking about one particular vendor. So at the end of the day, do these soldiers really get that quote-unquote quality that they're supposed to get to ensure that they're nourished well, they're out there, they have to eat well. So if you are going to justify them having quality meals and so forth for whatever it is that you're paying these vendors, then you have to have evidence for that. And if somebody is saying they're still not eating well, then something is wrong.
I agree, and these are some fair questions to ask. And I ask whether or not who was the transition to healthy and nutritious foods meant to benefit? I have to ask, was it meant to benefit the soldiers themselves, because they say, oh, are a lot of underlying diseases that needs to be addressed and the food can do that? Or was it meant to benefit politically favored and politically aligned people?
Well, Paul, at this moment in our political race, we are going to be going into municipals next year. And if you are somebody that wants to see change, are you registered to vote?
Yeah, that's an important thing. It's just a plug there, April, to remind people that I believe the registration, the period to transfer, the period to update your where you vote and make sure that everything is in order is either upon us or is going to be upon us. And so I know, as far as I'm concerned, my registration in ARDA, by the way, I spend a lot of time in Belmopan still, so my vote is still in Belmopan. It's not a lot, as much as I would want to, but yes, my vote is still in Belmopan for the record. And so
that means your registration is not up to date.
Well, I have some, and so you know what, that might actually speak to me.
Yes.
Because I do have some so people bidding or vying for office that are telling me, Paul, you need to bring your vote to Belize City. I love to exercise my right to vote. I know I lie. Every opportunity I get, I feel empowered. I feel like I have a decision to make, because to me, striking that X on that ballot is more than just the ink in the pen being placed on a piece of paper. That ink has value beyond measure. That paper, that ballot is a canvas to decide the future of a city, decide the future of our country, and we see more and more and more the value of that. And so I'd love to exercise my right to vote.
I find this conversation to be very interesting, because while our generation and perhaps generations older than us see that, I've been listening to a lot of the younger people and they don't feel that. And we have a very young population in Belize, and so that's something that I think needs to be investigated. I toss that over to you, because I was having a conversation with my brother, who is now 16 years old, and by the, not the municipal, but perhaps by the next general election, he will be able to vote, right? So we're having this conversation about when he turns 18 and getting his voter's ID and all of that stuff. And he looked me dead in my face and said, but what if I don't see anybody that I like to vote for? What if I don't hear anything that I feel is worthy of me giving my vote? Do I then vote? And for a young man to ask me that question without having like that voter's ID yet was very striking to me, because my whole, like, when I 18, that was one of the first things I did, right? I looked at him and I said, well, you have to look at all of your options. And he said, but what if none of the options are good? And I can't tell him, pick the lesser of two evils, which has been the thing that we've always done, right? Pick the lesser of the two evils. And so I think that there's a different conversation happening with the younger generations that are coming up, that they're going to be the next voters, and they have not felt the appeal to go and get registered to vote.
Yeah, I think a huge part of it is that politicians are not necessarily connecting with the younger population to help the younger population, the younger voters understand who they are personally, translate that through mediums that young people understand, and also help young people to understand what their policies are, and not from a technical and a governance standpoint, but from a relatable standpoint. These are my policies. This is what I want to do for you and your community, and this is who I am, and this is what I personally bring. And I think politicians have missed that to an extent. But the younger politicians, look at it, younger and I call them trending politicians, because everybody know it in a way where it matters to young people. Those are the ones that a lot of young people are building confidence in, simply because they're forward, they're in your face, they're in your phones, they're on your social media. And even if they're not worth their salt, because young people sit in a lot, they say, boy, yeah, boy, he young, he has done this and done that, he look good. So that's somebody I build confidence in. I think you have to look at this generation and what makes them develop confidence. A younger generation in somebody in today's day and age. It's a world of trending. It's a world of who trends, who's in front of you, who's getting the views.
Let me ask you something,
that's
Paul.
Connecting.
Let me ask you something. If you were, when you were back in our youths, right? If you saw somebody like yourself running for office, would you vote for them?
Like myself?
Like yourself.
Like at that
age?
Well, in my teenage years, never.
Not teenage, I'm talking about like 20s.
Yeah, for sure.
You would vote for yourself?
Yeah, I would. Okay. I would.
That's the question I normally pitch to young people when they're listening to anybody.
But I've never had aspiration. I never had aspirations at that
That's
age.
not my question. My question is, if you saw yourself running for office, would you vote for you? And that is something that I always think about. I'm like, who would I vote for, and who would I be? And not to say that I have aspirations for office. I'm just saying that these are my needs and my wants. Am I giving myself those needs and that want? If I were running for office, would I vote for myself with this type of mentality that I have right now? Right? That's kind of how I gauge any sort of politician, really. Right? But that's how I normally ask people to think about who they're voting for.
Yeah.
You see yourselves in your politician.
Yeah, so that's good. And I think the young people do that as well, the younger population, but the way they do that is different. They don't do that by having face-to-face conversations. They do that by scrolling social media and looking at content and the type of content and the type of person you are. They learn that, and they like that or dislike that based on content. And so politicians really have to take advantage of that if they want to connect with young people and bridge that gap.
As we wrap up our conversation, I really want to look at some of the comments that are happening right now in our live, because we thank you so much for engaging with us. I see Bart Sanchez saying 13 is less than the price of a gallon of regular gas. Paul.
Yeah, I still argue it. It may have to be adjusted
Bart,
for sure a little bit
much.
more, but I still argue that
it's not enough.
If you buy $13 worth of product and you cook it wholesale, it might actually last?
No.
All right.
Andrew Hunter says no consumer should have this chicken price hike put upon them.
Aye.
Once again, the taxpayer is fronting the bill for other people when they have absolutely no reason
Rough.
nor obligation to do so. Andrew, we're with
good
you.
point, Andrew.
Look
Good
like we have to
point.
turn vegetarians after this. Not even that, because produce also is rising
join
certain
BDF.
vegetables, right? You are what now?
Join BDF.
Paul is going to join BDF. Please make your comments in the comment section below.
Feed.
Michelle Sampson says, year in and year out, we don't see them. They don't come around for you to have a conversation
That's
with.
not true.
She's talking about our politicians, right? She says, while we love exercise our rights, it's definitely hard when you don't have good candidates. So Michelle, I'm thinking you're not seeing anybody that is viable for your vote. All right. Bart is saying, April, your brother's response tells me that he's politically educated and does not want to vote red or blue. Yeah, he sees the world very, very differently.
That's true too.
Michelle says, Fox, I don't just vote for party, I vote for person. I do my research and I would rather have conversations with them. I agree, and I always appreciate when they do answer certain questions in like the comments and so forth. But I also feel that if you want to try rationalize with a political statement and so forth, I don't know if I really want genuine answers from our politicians, right? Don't promise me something that you know you can't deliver.
Well, we'll get to ask one aspiring politician some questions this morning and have that face-to-face conversation. But before we do that, just let's remind people today is the opening.
It's the premiere
of KTV The Remix live show.
Yes.
So we go live from the Bliss. Summer officially starts, like you said, but we go live from the Bliss. It's going to be exciting. You're gonna see all who made it to the live shows. Understand that there's going to be two individuals going home tonight.
Yes.
But that's after they show you their talent and their skills.
Are you bringing the family out?
I'm keeping the family in.
Okay.
Yeah, we have fun watching it at home, in the living room, the couch, the food, the drinks, the sodas, and just enjoying amazing entertainment. The best
I do as
entertainment
well.
show
I
in the
really love
country.
watching it. So of course, if you are not able to go to the Bliss Center for Performing Arts tonight, you can definitely watch it from the comfort of your homes live on Channel 5, on Facebook, KTV The Remix, and of course GBTV on YouTube. Tickets go for $5, and we have them on sale here at Studio on Coney Drive and at 88 Shopping Center. But we do got to take a quick break, and when we return, we're going to be posing our questions to Miss Jackie Willoughby and why she should be your mayoral candidate for the UDP. We'll be right back.
Football event in the world is finally here, and Smart is giving you the chance to play and win. Before every match starts, predict who will win. The more predictions you make, the more chances you have to win. Get 1 point towards your total when you guess the winning team. Predict the exact score and earn up to 4 points. The top scorer at the conclusion of the World Cup wins the grand prize of $2,500 in cash. That's not all. Players get a chance to win weekly prizes. Plus, our quarter-final winner gets a watch party package. Play directly in the Smart app for just 50 cents per entry. Prediction starts June 1st to July 18, 2026. Don't just watch the World Cup. Play along and win with Smart. Smart, bringing people together.
Belize assumes the presidency pro tempore of the Central American Integration System, CICA. Over the next 6 months, Belize's presidency will focus on strengthening the region's integration agenda, with priority placed on cooperation in energy, climate change, migration, and security. A strong and effective regional integration is the foundation upon which a better future for all Central Americans must be built.
After an incredible round of auditions, 12 lucky contestants have been selected to compete in KTV The Remix Season 8. And now it's time to see them shine live. Join us at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts on Tuesday, July 7th at 8 p.m. and cheer on your favorite contestant as they battle it out on stage. Tickets are available now at Greater Belize Media's office on Coney Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. Don't miss the excitement of KTV The Remix Live. We'll see you at the Bliss.
We at Fulltech Systems understand that technology isn't just a tool, it's a game changer. At home, smart devices and AI are revolutionizing daily life. In education, tech is making learning more interactive and accessible for students and educators alike. For businesses and government, it's driving innovation, streamlining operations, and unlocking growth, leveraging tech for better services, infrastructure, and security. At Fulltech Systems, we help you thrive with cutting-edge solutions, partnering with leaders like Dell, HP, Microsoft, APC, Fortinet, Cisco, and Tomy. We deliver the right products for your needs, whether it's boosting efficiency, improving customer engagement, or scaling operations. Connect with us and let's drive innovation together. Fulltech Systems, your technology center, where you come for the price, but stay for the service.
Running a business means every dollar counts.
As a business owner, you face different challenges every day. You need cash flow on hand as soon as you can.
With Belize Bank's same-day settlement, transactions settled by 4 p.m. are credited the very same night.
The same-day settlement will definitely make a difference for my business because I know I have money in the bank so I can pay my suppliers, my staff, etc.
Faster access to your funds, better cash flow, greater control. And with auto settlement, it's done for you every day. Same-day settlement from Belize Bank. Our country, your bank.
The next station is not just a place, it's the vacation capital of the world. Mexican Caribbean, the vacation capital.
He skipped nights out, said maybe next time too often. Ramen became a lifestyle, all for this moment, his first car. Protect what you work for with RF&G Motor Insurance.
Life moves fast. Your connection should keep up. Need more credit? More data? A flex bundle that fits your lifestyle? With Smart Prepaid, they're a prepaid option for every lifestyle and budget, making it easy to stay connected wherever you are. Because with Smart Prepaid, you can connect on your terms. Purchase credit, data, flex bundles, prepaid plans, and all your favorite prepaid services at any Smart agent, Smart showroom, or simply dial *100 # key. No stress, no waiting. just fast, easy, convenient ways to stay connected every day. Smart Prepaid. Connect on your terms.
Welcome back, and thanks for staying tuned with us. This is our first conversation for this morning, and in this conversation we are having a discussion with Ms. Jacqueline Willoughby, who's a UDP mayoral candidate, aspirant, for Belize City. Ms. Willoughby, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
No problem. Thanks for joining us via Zoom. I understand you're not in country at this time?
No, I'm not in country.
Yeah, so we're glad to still have you with us. Let's talk a bit about your candidacy. Let's start there. Start with what made you decide to take up the mantle and put your name forward?
Well, first, I think about Jackie Willoughby would be most important. So I have served for 35 years in the public service. I've lived a life of public service ever since as far as I could remember. First it was the talk shows, then it went to the children talk shows, went to the union, then it went to the actual public service. So I have a heart of service for people, and it's my observation that there are times when we're elected into office, we seem to forget who we work for, who we're served. I mean, take the current situation now. It would seem that there's more loyalty to the party than there is people. And so I think it is time for me now to give my service at a different level to the people of Belize. So my interest is really serving people.
I've seen that you have quite the resume, Ms. Jackie, and I find that for all of your years in public service and in other private and public entities, you've seen Belize City grow or progress in a particular way. In your eyes, what is it that you would want to change, or where do you want to take the city if you are elected as mayor?
You're asking me to let me tell you, I find that, for instance, the Belize City Council Act is very deficient. It rarely speaks to fixing street, cleaning garbage, and taxes. That is basically what you'll find in the act. Naturally, I would have to do those things because a cleaner city means a healthier Belize and a healthier people. But at the same time, I often say it is human beings that administer the law. And as the mayor, you're responsible for an entire city, north, south, east, and west. And I feel that Belize needs a new and invigorating look where people are inclusive. You see, what the people need to understand is, I can be elected as mayor, anybody can be elected as mayor. But if we do not work with the citizens of Belize and make them a part, bring some kind of investment to them, bring back a brighter city, a city where the aesthetics is going to assist the police with the way we manage crime, particularly patrolling areas. Because people, we tend to think, that's not my job, that's a him job. But I have the mindset that if all of us would take part, if the city council would do their job to ensure that proper lighting, streets are properly kept, so if the police has to chase somebody, they don't have to stop. I think it would aid better in solving the crime issue. Well, I think there's always going to be crime, but it would at least minimize the crime issue. What I bring to the fore is I'm going to bring my integrity, I'm going to bring my management style, my leadership, I'm going to bring my transparency. There should never ever be a situation where any of us, whether we're elected to local government or national government, there has to be questions about what's happening with the till. We are supposed to ensure that we be accountable without question to the people of Belize. I'm going to bring my honesty in that area. I'm going to I'm going to make the City Council Act come alive, and nobody will be left behind.
What do you think city councils are missing about tax collection? Because there's been a lot of, it's been a prevailing issue where there's been a lot of outstanding taxes, monies that could really be used to improve and impact the city in ways you're suggesting. What do you think we're missing when it comes to tax collection?
I think across local government and across national government, we're missing two things: monitoring and evaluation and enforcement. You see, somehow we think in Belize that every single time you can't collect tax or you need money, let's tax the already taxed people. Like this most recent 18% property tax without evaluations. This trade tax, the trade license, that was the one that got me the best, because I found out that we have no set rule on how we calculate trade tax. It's a practice that somebody will come to your place and measure your business and add some formula to that, and that is how you're going to pay your trade tax. That is unacceptable. The issue is enforcement, and most of the times we are afraid to enforce because it might well mean some of the people who owe taxes are some of the people who pay our campaigns. If the Belizean people cannot be calling on politicians to be honest and to have transparency, if they're not going to hold them to that standard. And that is the reason I said in the beginning, it has to be a we approach. It is the citizens plus the mayor and her team. It cannot simply be just you look to government to ensure, and government has to do what they must do. If it means you have to start to take people to court, then do that. Because you can't continue to bleed people who don't have. Then the manner in which we apply taxes is an issue to me as well. How can you apply tax to an elderly person who has no job and then still pressure? Do you expect to collect? Because I don't think you will. And gone are the times when we do catch-22s. Taxes will be laid on all and sundry. No, we're at the stage now where we have to learn to cascade things. And I like to simplify things. In a family, there are 5 children. The one who's going to in primary school does not have necessarily the same needs as the one in high school. So you're going to put your focus where there's more priority. I believe this is the way we have to start looking at taxes in Belize. We start to pay attention to priority. We have to enforce where we can enforce, and we have to look to see where we can give tax forgiveness to people who, like your elderly, like those who are sick. Unless the government start providing opportunity for everybody to have a job somewhere, we're always going to find ourselves in this economic clinch where everybody can't afford.
The criticism might be, respectfully, Ms. Willoughby, that perhaps you're speaking in part from a place of ignorance, because the criticism might be that, well, when you get into the council and you look at the numbers, you realize we need every tax dollar we can get because the expenses are high. And so while there's conversations you're putting forward about forgiveness and perhaps excluding certain demographics, we need all the money we could get because we have to deal with streets, garbage, etc. Do you think that's a fair criticism?
Let me break up what you just said. But before I answer what you said, I've been in the public service for 35 years. I've sat on the IMF committee, the CDB committee, the government committee, the economic council. I've had the privilege for those 35 years to examine budgets, to see what government do, both local and national government, to see what governments do in terms of taxes, in terms of collection, in terms of revenue savings. I've seen what government does. And one of our greatest flaws. When is the last time you saw an audit from the city council? Tend to say consistently, when I have the money, we need to collect more, we need to collect more, we need to collect more. But you're not even assessing what you already have. The other half of that story is, how do you cut your own expenses? I've noticed in the city council that there has been many trips where about 4 or 5 persons are going. Is that we are in a gas situation now? I mean, while I appreciate that some of the time we are not able to bring back the gas to $3 that I used to know it used to be, I still think that there are things that we can do. For instance, you walk around Belize and you notice one person in a Hilux. I can tell you from cost savings committee that that kind of vehicle in this kind of climate nets all over $20,000 a month in gasoline. I'm not ignorant, I'm not oblivious, and I'm certainly not lost on what is happening in Belize. Though I may not have been in politics at the forefront, I have been in the politics of the union, I've been in the politics of the government, I've been in the politics of city councils, town council, municipal bodies. So I'm not speaking out of my head. I'm thinking, I know that I'll have to examine things like contracts. Like, how is it that we have these never-ending waste control contracts? How is it? You have to examine everything. While I'm not in a position to tell you, okay, I'm going to chop waste control, I'm going to chop this one, it will need a serious look. And if both governments were serious about transparency to the people of Belize, we wouldn't even have to ask for an audit. It would be done. In fact, the national government audit has not been done since 2014. Wow. How do you know what money you have? We don't even know when last an audit has been done in the city council because we have not seen the records. And yet, it is always the cry, we need money, we need money, we need money. Everybody needs money. But in your own household, you need money, you want to start to sit down and you want to start to check, listen, maybe I could stop eat out, maybe I could do this. There are things we can do. Austerity measures must not only fall on the lower class of people, it must fall from the mayor right down to the cleaner. If we're going to think about saving our city and spending money where it needs to be spent and enforcing what we need to enforce. So I am not at all ignorant.
So is it then your view that the city council is overcommitting itself where waste control is concerned?
I do not have sufficient information to tell you that, but I can say it's something we need to look at. I'm not in a position to tell you that the contract is not needed or the contract is bloated. I can't tell you any of that. I don't have any information to say that. I have sufficient information to say that the city is still dirty. Why walk about places and still see dirt? Why do people still have to be living in dirt or be using dirt as a landfill?
I think that when it comes to, the ways that any sort of government spends money, somebody has to foot the bill somewhere. And while I really appreciate the exemption of taxes from certain persons that are, vulnerable in society, somebody else foots that bill. We already have a middle class society that has the highest taxes that we pay. So if you exempt somebody from paying taxes, then that bill gets footed from somebody else. How are we going to ensure that everybody is treated fairly?
Well, first thing, you're confused me when you say we already have a middle class. Where is it? Because for the last, I don't know how much years, there has only been the poorer and the richer. I don't know about the middle class. Some of us, I know about the working poor. We do have the... Here's the thing. It takes examination. There's enough countries around the world that you can look at to see how things are balanced. As a matter of course, one of the things we asked in the union, one of the things we requested when I was a negotiator at the table was that government would prepare taxes in a cascading fashion. What did that mean? That meant that, for instance, in the public service, you have 29 pay scales. Everybody knows that the highest taxes fall between 9 and about 15. So there's a small body of public officers that's carrying the weight of taxes. We say instead of allowing only from 9 up to be paying, let us cascade it so those in the lower echelons can pay in accordance with their bracket. That simply meant, I put 25% across the board. Because to do that, a person on pay scale 1, his burden will be killing. But perhaps if you look at a 1% or a 2%, what it does, it spreads around the tax responsibility. Money is still coming in. Money is still coming, but you're not killing the goose that's laying the golden egg. The way taxes Belize, that is exactly what we're doing. And the fact of the matter is, it doesn't stop us from taking the time out to examine. I cannot sit here and tell you for definite that is how it's going to go, because I will never sit here and make promises that I cannot fulfill. I can say to you, it is something that is worth examining. We have to look at it. We have to get a deeper look, and we have to study it, and we have to come up with some decision. It cannot be. Belize is already a high tax society.
Yes.
A lot of people coming here complains, especially those who comes on boats. If we are already a high tax society, you pay a property tax, you pay a trade license, you pay a GST, you pay a stamp duty, everything you pay, and your salary remains at the same level, and your purchasing power reduces, and your food basket now has ramen as number 5. Wrong with us?
Are you finding it challenging, or how challenging are you finding it to find a footing and connect with the youth voters population at this stage in your campaign here in Belize City, given the sort of candidates that the People's United Party seems to be pushing forward?
Everybody has this youth question. My approach is a simple one. Life is about balance. And I joined my party leader when she says, everybody has a space under the tent. My style has always been, you cannot chuck out the elderly, because the wisdom they bring and the experience they bring is a teaching moment. Equally, you cannot chuck out the young people. A past colleague of mine used to refer to you as instant coffee crew. They want no. But what I do like about these people is the methods that they bring. I have no issue. But my mantra, me a person, sometimes people of people, we speak down. No, I want to. One of my favorite ones. Because I find out the culture at level, but in their own space, eating things. So I have no problem mixing with people. I have no problem fighting into the team to break. They can do faster. Time I have no that as long as I break back 5 or everyone. So I don't have to.
Ms. Jackie, we seem to have a little bit of an audio issue. You're breaking up a bit, but I hope that it's more of a connection than it is a microphone issue. But I think that when we're talking about the youth vote and the youth conversation, a lot of younger persons are struggling even to rely or to depend or trust. That is the word I want to use, trust. The persons that hold office, because while I really applaud the ideas that you bring, and I really applaud the idea of integrity within the government space, you will also have to work with different bodies of government. You'll have different councillors perhaps that don't share the same view. How are you going to be able to push these initiatives and bring people together that might not always agree with you?
Trust. I want to start with trust. Trust is not only an issue for the youth voter. Trust is an issue for most of us in Belize. We're wary We're wary of politicians who make empty promises. Note well, I didn't come here to make any promise because I can't write any check that I won't be able to cash. I don't know what's the actual situation on the ground inside of the city council, but I have sufficient knowledge to know that I would have to audit records, I would have to report to the people. One of my commitments, certainly if I'm ever elected as mayor, is you won't have to ask me for an audit. One will be done, and it would be in newspaper. It is the people's money, not my money. In terms of young people have a flaw. Well, not only young people, people in Belize as a whole. Sometimes we're flawed. We don't want to read. We don't want to ask the right questions. We seem to depend on Facebook for everything. And that's because clearly we can have profiles that we can hide behind. Of Belize, for us, for democracy to really work and for governments to be held accountable, it means that all of us, they have to hold our feet to the fire. I remember when a particular prime minister came into office, wrote a letter that said, "Congratulations on your new employment." Everybody around me was floored. Why would I say that? Because you employ politicians every time you go to the poll and you vote. Your involvement should be past Facebook, it should be past just it should be holding our foot to the fire. In the same way Mr. Brasta was able to step up to the Integrity Commission and make a report about a minister, it is proof sufficient that you do not just have to wait for elections. You can get up and you can pressure. People pressure is sure pressure. People pressure is sure pressure. In terms of bringing people apart, when it is our party's positive, this won't be a Jacqueline Willoughby idea. It won't be it will be the mayor and her team. The council is not just run by a mayor. There is a team of council who I would hold accountable and ensure that we address. Yes, I know other councillors may have, but when you put your name on the ballot, you said, I can. I will volunteer. And so you will, if you don't want to do it, like what people go through the door. If you're not going to come to work, go through the door. I am a worker. Not.
All right. We are still experiencing some technical difficulties here, Ms. Jackie. We really sincerely apologize, but we have come to the end of our time anyway, and so we do want to say thank you so much. We hope that you can come back in person and talk to us where we know we have a better connection, but we really appreciate your time. We appreciate you answering our questions, and I know that you are an aspirant for the mayoral candidacy for the UDP. I know that you are going to go into a convention to see who your delegates possibly decide to vote for. So we wish you the best of luck on your endeavors, Ms. Willoughby. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we are going to take a quick break, and when we return, our conversation switches gears to recognize, prevent, and protect anti-trafficking awareness in action.
Our grid reached across Belize, it was built by generations of Belizeans committed to connecting communities and powering progress. Through the hands, the dedication, and the vision of our people, the grid grew with Belize. A nation built through strength and resilience, and a network built pole by pole. Today, that responsibility continues, strengthened by every hand that follows. Each generation building on the last and carrying forward a shared responsibility, serving communities, powering schools, hospitals, businesses, and homes. supporting a nation that continues to grow. Belize Electricity Limited, built to serve, serving Belize.
So it started off like any other summer day in Belize. I decided to go down to Builders Hardware since I heard they had 25% off on summer outdoor products. I got a couple of items, a chair, a grill, a cooler, and I got carried away, but the prices were so good. But anyways, I might have gotten comfortable, maybe too comfortable. Then I saw the news, man, the hurricane season was not playing with me. But thank God, Builders also had 25% off hurricane preparedness items as well. Flashlights, batteries, sealant, first aid kits, everything I need. And guess what? The grill survived.
Child marriage and early unions do happen in Belize. Not everywhere, but in some communities, it is still seen as normal. It often affects teenagers who enter relationships that pushes them into adulthood too soon. Child marriage and early unions take away childhood. They can lead to school dropouts, early pregnancies, financial dependence, exposure to STIs, and a higher risk of abuse.
To learn more, follow us on Instagram and Facebook.
After an incredible round of auditions, 12 lucky contestants have been selected to compete in KTV The Remix Season 8. And now it's time to see them shine live. Join us at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts on Tuesday, July 7th at 8 p.m. and cheer on your favorite contestant as they battle it out on stage. Tickets are available now at Greater Belize Media's office on Coney Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. Don't miss the excitement of KTV The Remix Live. We'll see you at the Bliss.
He skipped nights out. Said maybe next time too often. Ramen became a lifestyle. All for this moment, his first car. Protect what you've worked for with RF&G Motor Insurance.
Welcome back to Open Your Eyes. We are switching gears into a new conversation with Jana Murillo Palacio, and she is part of the Anti-Trafficking Coordinator over at the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Council. We're here to raise awareness on another part of your job. Let's get into it, Jana.
So let's start strong. There's a new trend globally with scam centers. What is a scam center? Essentially, it's a double-edged sword where persons are trafficked for the purpose to force them into engaging in criminal activity. So you have one victim on one side of the screen and a victim on the other side of the screen. Yeah, and it goes in line with the theme from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, which is themed Trapped Behind the Scam.
So how does that trickle down and affect us here?
So I'd say back in 2021, Interpol, they were observing this happening in Southeast Asia, most of the victims being from Asian countries, but they observed that some victims are now coming from Africa, the Middle East, and they've observed that it's possible that it's expanding globally. So it's not something that's staying across the pond. It's trickling into South America, and eventually we could potentially see it happening in Central America, and Belizeans could be either victims of trafficking or the victims of the scams that are occurring.
How does it work? How the recruitment?
So they would offer you a really good job. Hey, we have a job at a call center, or we have this opportunity where you get paid this much. Think of someone that's leaving high school who needs a job, whose family needs
the money,
some sort of money, right? Or an adult that's looking for some way to make money and support their family. So it starts off innocently. You communicate with someone that offers you this great opportunity. You go probably travel across borders, and you are then held captive. Your passports are taken. You are not allowed to leave. You have to live on the premises, and you end up being told, well, I will teach you how to scam, and you have to reach a certain quota, and if you don't, there will be other consequences, which could either result in potential physical torture or some other form of physical abuse to force that person to continue in the scamming.
How do you rescue somebody from such a double-edged sword situation?
It's challenging because when we think of human trafficking, a lot of what we see in Belize, we primarily see cases of commercial sexual exploitation of a child, where a child is forced to have sex in exchange of goods and services and money, or labor trafficking on perhaps, maybe potentially, so I'm not saying that this happens all the time in Belize, but it's a possibility, in the farms or in some retail or wholesale businesses. So we're not seeing it in Belize, but what I think is important, I love, I'm like a doctor, prevention is always better than cure, and if we can prevent Belizeans from being scammed financially, or if we can prevent them from becoming victims of trafficking who are then forced to scam persons, I feel like I want to take that opportunity to raise awareness for that issue.
What should we look for if this is something that's happening? I mean, we have a lot of call centers in Belize already.
I think one of the most important things would be the government works with the Labor Department to establish these call centers, and so we know that at the Labor Department they're ensuring to establish safe relationship between employer and employee. And so once the Labor Department is involved in the establishment of these call centers, we could be secure, knowing that they've looked at all the different parts that needs to be considered. And if there are other issues, such as perhaps issues with pay and these challenges that are specific to labor violations, people should report them, because you don't want employers to become comfortable in requiring you to do things that you don't want to do. So you might think, well, this isn't too bad, or, you know, well, my boss asked me to do something different or off the books, and you realize, oh, this is very lucrative, I'm making money, it's fine. It's important for you to not fall trapped to what seems like it's making money for you at the time.
Yeah, because then while you may be a victim, I think you might put yourself in a situation where questions may arise about your actions as well, right? And so you have to come forward. And I think it becomes a bit more challenging for, let's say, Belizeans, for example, if the job opportunity presents itself in Mexico. Right. And you're thinking, wow, huge call center in Mexico, they're offering an opportunity of a lifetime. They're saying, housing, man, we got housing for you. No worry about transportation. The income double, everything's set. Right. And I think that becomes a bit more attractive, right? Precisely. And so then the challenge presents itself in terms of how do we identify whether this is a fraud or a scam or not.
And I like to always advise persons, if you're going to another country for work, you should ensure to check with your government here in Belize. If you want support in confirming the legitimacy of the work, contact the Labor Department or the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and see if they can contact their counterparts to verify if this location is safe. Because sometimes you really don't know, and the truth is sometimes the authority in that country might not be onto that location as yet, because it's something that is emerging. It's not easy for me to say, oh, well, we have these hotspots here and these hotspots there, but you could look out for the warning signs. Anytime an opportunity looks too good to be true, it's probably too good to be true. And I was saying this earlier, when it comes to human trafficking, it's not only for sex or the purpose of forced labor, but persons are often forced into criminal activity, and this is one of those forms.
You know that we've seen these sort of scams infiltrate high places in office, not just private organizations, but we've seen like even the UN be hacked and scammed before. So in all of this, you have cybersecurity that needs to be protected too. Is there something in your area that you all are looking at?
Well, we work with the Belize Police Department and Cybersecurity Unit. Anytime something has some element to do with cybersecurity, we communicate with them and they support us. Which brings me to the conversation about artificial intelligence.
Yeah.
We have to become careful, we have to be very vigilant, because AI is used not only for pictures and posters, but it's used to create a fake persona.
Yep.
You could be speaking to someone online and that's not the face of the person you're actually speaking to. And these are some of the techniques that you will see start being used or have already been used to scam people out of their life savings. And it's disheartening process, because not all the time can these monies be recovered, and so persons are left without the money that they saved all their life, or the money that they've worked so hard for. And on the other hand, you're trying to see how you protect this person that has been forced to do this activity. So it's the double-edged sword, has so much meaning to it, because as a victim of the scam, you're like, I want that person to go to jail, but that person was there and their life is in danger, and if they don't do it, what will come of them?
Ooh, so you can't, you have to give equal amount at that moment of protection to somebody that is a perpetrator but also a victim.
Yes.
Yeah, I appreciate that we're bringing awareness to this issue, because while it might seem far off, you never know who's already out there getting that call and thinking about making that move, and then just a conversation like this, they may say, all right, I need to do my due diligence before I take the next step. What other awareness initiatives are you all engaged in at this point?
So what we're doing this month, on the 30th of July, we observe World Day Against Trafficking in Persons. And so throughout this month, we're raising awareness by using a campaign called Wear Blue Fridays. Okay. So every Friday, we're asking Belizeans, business communities.
It's not Friday,
but we do wear to the blue. But every Friday, we're asking you to wear blue and post something about human trafficking, or just post blue heart. So I unfortunately forgot my blue heart in Bomopan, but the Blue Heart campaign is a campaign that raises awareness for human trafficking. And the heart itself is a symbol for two things. It symbolizes the cold-heartedness of traffickers, persons that see it fitting to exploit other human beings, but it also represents the sadness of victims and what they experience. And so when you see a blue heart that has a little open at the end, and you see someone in blue during this month, it's not always a political color, I promise. This is a global awareness campaign for blue to raise awareness for human trafficking. And so what we're doing, we're posting videos, we're publishing blogs, we're trying to see how we not only use traditional media, but get on radio stations, local radio stations, and also do in-person sessions with different groups.
If somebody is listening right now and they know that they're in this sort of situation and they can't verbally say anything, or they can't do anything about it, how can they, is there a way for them to get help?
Trafficking on a whole, you can report anonymously. If that person would have access to a phone, they can report using the 922, the P3 Tips app to report any cases of trafficking in persons. You can call the number 0800 PROTECT. That connects you to a police department. And that's like, if it's after hours, a social worker should be available to respond alongside if the case involves a child. Of course, I always like to emphasize that 911 is the emergency contact for anybody in immediate danger. We've done a lot of training with police officers. We trained over 200 officers last year, and we continue to do that this year because despite us having a specialized unit that investigates trafficking in persons cases, we want to ensure all police officers are equipped to identify the signs so that they can refer cases to the specialized unit. And we've seen, since we've started doing extensive trainings with police officers, we've seen the evidence of that.
As civilians, how can we help, and how can we identify some signs?
I want to encourage civilians to not be afraid to report. I know we there have been times where as Belizeans we feel frustrated that we say, well, the government isn't doing anything. They don't really take crime seriously, or, you know, based on our experience and perceptions. But I can tell you that in reporting cases, you do your part. That's all we want Belizeans to do. If you see something that just makes you think that this doesn't look right, it could be trafficking, send us as much information as you can. Do not put yourself in danger, and we'll do the work. We don't ask you to investigate, because we will investigate. And I say we, but I'm speaking on behalf of all the public officers that do the really hard work. I'm here sitting speaking on the media, but there are police officers, social workers, prosecutors that are working behind the scenes to do a lot of work. We arrested about 7 persons last year.
Wow.
The year before, we did the same amount of arrests. There are constant investigations. I think we have about 15 to 20 active cases being investigated, mostly from 2023 to current. Most of them involving girls that are victims, but there's a lot of work happening behind the scenes. And so I can assure you that if you report a potential case of trafficking in persons, we will do the due diligence. I do want to say that we have to find evidence to be able to prove anything in court. And I know sometimes it gets a little frustrated where you say, I report this case and I don't see nothing get done. But if there is no evidence to corroborate your report, then there's very little that the police can do, because yes, sometimes we feel like we know this is happening, but when we stand in front of a high court judge and they ask us, you know, what evidence you have of this? Yeah. We won't even reach the high court phase, because through disclosure and CMC and all these things, the case, if there's not enough evidence, it will be thrown out. And so when you see a case sometimes taking long, it's because you're trying to build a strong case file so that when it reaches the court, we can be sure that this person could be convicted.
How much does that apply to a person who identifies themselves as a victim? To say that I was trafficked, I came to Belize under the notion that I would get a job, I would be taken care of, but I'm essentially being held hostage. How much does, like, when a potential victim comes forward, I'm thinking perhaps there may be some hesitation, because who I believe me?
Actually, when a survivor says that these things are happening, it makes the life of the police officers easier. I'm telling you, because we sometimes work with survivors that are traumatized, that it takes them a long time to come out and say these things. So if there's a survivor willing to give us all the details, that gives the police enough information to go ahead and corroborate this information, it makes the case pretty easy. We had an example of that in 2021. A young lady, 16 years old, you would have seen it in Placencia. She was at the police station, she reported it, the officer recognized the signs, called the Anti-Trafficking in Persons Police Unit, and 2 persons were subsequently arrested, I think a month later, because she shared all the information with the police and they were able to corroborate. So interestingly, if someone speaks up, we are able to do an investigation faster. That also means if it is a lie, we will find out. And there have been cases where persons will try to hide behind being a victim of trafficking in persons. They're actually a criminal, but the authorities will find out. We ensure to incorporate the support from Interpol, doing fingerprinting through immigration. So there's a lot of behind the scenes work that is done also with immigration and labor.
That's good, because where a resident might see something, I might see something, and I might be able to report it, and the police has to do its investigation. The actual victim is a key witness.
Yes.
And their testimony holds a lot of weight. So I like the distinction, because it encourages now victims to come forward understanding that they're a key piece of the entire equation.
Very important piece of the equation.
But is there also a protection program for these persons that come out after?
So we work with the Department of Human Services along with the police department. And if someone, depending on the risk, so some survivors are high risk, some are not as high risk. So some persons can continue to live within Belizean society, their life is not at risk, while others might not experience that same that same benefit. A lot of these persons that are high risk, we find, are not from Belize.
Yes.
And so a lot of foreigners opt to go back home. And I think that might be also a misconception that some Belizeans have. They think all victims are migrants, and they come and they use it as a means to get documentation. Most of our victims are Belizean.
Wow.
Yes. Most of our victims are Belizeans, and the ones that aren't, they like to go back home. They want to go where they feel comfortable, where they have that support system.
So remind us again, what's the theme for this month's awareness?
So this one, it's Trapped Behind the Scam. You can find more details about it on the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime page. They go into details. You can also find some details on Interpol's website about Trapped Behind the Scam. It shows how it's expanding, what areas are potential hotspots. It gives you a lot of details if you're quite interested to find out more about it.
Excellent.
And if you are somebody, or if you know somebody, or if you know of an incident of any sort of trafficking of any kind, who can they contact?
If it's not urgent, meaning no one's life is in immediate danger, call 922. It's the number for Crime Stoppers. You're getting a number that connects you to the United States. So when you hear an American accent, don't cut off the phone. It is the actual number. You can call straight from your Belize line, just 922. That is Crime Stoppers. If it's immediate danger, please, please, please call 911 for police response.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you
and
for
of course,
having
we're
me.
blue on Fridays.
Yes.
And Tuesdays.
And Tuesdays.
Just kidding, Fridays.
But we do got to take a quick break, and when we return, we are going to be venturing into some healthy eating with Lean Belize. Don't miss that. We'll be right back.
Now it doesn't have to be. Introducing partial authorization. If the card doesn't cover the full amount, it notifies you what's available. You can accept the partial payment and pay the missing balance with a credit card or cash. No decline. Get what you came for. Partial authorization now available. Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
After an incredible round of auditions, 12 lucky contestants have been selected to compete in KTV The Remix Season 8. And now it's time to see them shine live. Join us at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts on Tuesday, July 7th at 8 p.m. and cheer on your favorite contestant as they battle it out on stage. Tickets are available now at Greater Belize Media's office on Coney Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. Don't miss the excitement of KTV The Remix Live. We'll see you at the Bliss.
He skipped nights out. Said maybe next time too often. Ramen became a lifestyle. All for this moment, his first car. Protect what you've worked for with RF&G Motor Insurance.
The biggest football event in the world is finally here, and Smart is giving you the chance to play and win. Before every match starts, predict who will win. The more predictions you make, the more chances you have to win. Get 1 point towards your total when you guess the winning team. Predict the exact score and earn up to 4 points. The top top scorer at the conclusion of the World Cup wins the grand prize of $2,500 in cash. That's not all. Players get a chance to win weekly prizes. Plus, our quarter-final winner gets a watch party package. Play directly in the Smart app for just 50 cents per entry. Prediction starts June 1st to July 18, 2026. Don't just watch the World Cup. Play along and win with Smart. Smart, bringing people together.
He skipped nights out. Said maybe next time too often. Ramen became a lifestyle. All for this moment, his first car. Protect what you've worked for with RF&G Motor Insurance.
When your baby feels comfortable, you feel confident. Because every little moment deserves protection you can trust. Cushkin's diapers are designed with ultra-absorbent layers that lock in leaks while staying soft, dry, and gentle on delicate skin. So your baby can play freely and you can enjoy every smile without worry. Cushkin's diapers, comfort they feel, protection you trust. Cushkin's diapers and wipes are available countrywide at a supermarket near you.
Maria.
Welcome back. Thanks for staying tuned with us. This is our final conversation for this morning, and we have joining us the founder of Lean Belize. She's also a lecturer and a content creator.
Yes.
And inspirer as well. I call her that. Very inspirational. Miss Soraya Rosado. Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
Nice, a pleasure having you. We heard a bit of your story during the break, and we got excited to jump into it, right? So we had to hold ourselves back. Lean Belize. The name suggests fitness. It suggests health. Healthy. Yes. Tell us a bit about yourself and the connection to Lean Belize.
Okay, Lean is healthy, right? I don't promote weight loss. I promote eating healthy. Our ingredients are all clean, and what I do is I provide meal preps. What does that mean? You get 5 meals on Sunday, or I deliver it on Monday, and it's convenient for everybody.
I love that. Where have you been all my life?
Right?
Oh my goodness.
All right, so you provide like so your meal prep.
A whole lunch. At the moment, I'm only doing lunch.
Okay,
yes.
you're only doing
so I give you 5 healthy, well-balanced meals, and then you just put it in the refrigerator, and when you go to work, you pull it out and you warm it up at work.
Again, where have you been all my life? Because that is, I know for a lot of people, and I think I can speak for a lot of us, where that is the biggest challenge of eating healthy.
So
meal prep.
Especially when you're busy, right?
Especially when you're busy.
I've been building, actually.
Yeah.
It took me 3 years to come up with Lean. I lost 120 pounds on these meals. So I was not healthy at all. I was 300 and odd pounds, and I did not see the need for eating healthy. When I started, I was lost. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know anything about calories. I didn't know what is a well-balanced meal. I was eating ramen and canned food and all the unhealthy stuff. So when I started doing the research and I started balancing my meals, that's when I started seeing a drastic change, not only on the weight loss, but physically, mentally. My skin started to look better. I felt better. So it was a whole experience, and how to say, building, because not only so, but I also shared my journey on social media so that people could trust Lean.
What have you learned during your journey about what healthy food does to the body?
Yeah, like what is a balanced diet?
A balanced diet means that you have to have all 5, right? You have mainly protein, you have to have your vegetables and fruits, your healthy carbs, there are healthy fats, and making sure that it's well portioned, right? So what I do with Lean is I weigh out each one of those servings. So sometimes it may look like it's just a little bit of food, but whenever you eat it,
it's sufficient.
Yes, because
Yeah.
it has enough protein and it's well balanced. So
Because
it keeps you fuller for a longer
You
period
know how
of
they say
time.
we do it? They say we basically weigh with we eye.
Yes.
Right? And so I look at that, I said, man, I don't leave
But
I just, not that,
Yes,
but I'm
yes.
thinking, I look at food generally, I
Yeah.
leave it, and then the bigger the plate, all right, that's a full
That's
meal.
what the average person does. They look at the meal and they're like, that look, leave it. But then my clients come back and they're like, surprisingly, I was full. And I'm like, yes, you get full because you have sufficient protein, sufficient carbohydrates, and the healthy fats, the ones that make your mind think better, makes you have more energy,
But
and so forth.
how do you then compensate? Because I think that one of the reasons why Belizeans do have, and I won't say that our meals are unhealthy because we have really good products, but it's the portion sizes. But then we feel like if we not get 3 pot of rice in our food, then we're not a get with bank for a buck, right?
Not too
So
much
like,
3 pot of
when
rice
I
is
just
great.
to say, right? Okay, but that's what we feel, right? We feel like if we're going to pay $15 for a meal, then I need to see a stack
Yeah,
plate.
that's true.
So the price does compensate, right? You have to think about quality ingredients. That is what I try to provide. Not only so, but I guarantee quality. Now, if there ever comes a time where my clients are unsatisfied, I make sure that I find a way how to make up for it. I also keep my meals in the refrigerator so that I can test them over the week, so that if something is going bad, I make sure I reach out to my client and say, hey, you know what? This is not to our standard. I can offer you a 5% discount or a $10 discount, because customer service for me is top priority, and quality control. So that's the reason why I have a wait list at the moment, because I want to make, at the moment, because I want to make sure that my meals are to standard before I expand throughout the entire country, because I know it's going to get there.
I like that you're thinking about shelf life.
Yes, that's
right?
my main,
because this is fresh food, this is prepared food, and it didn't dawn on me that, you know what, you're giving it out on Sunday, so
I need to think about everything.
You're thinking about 5 days out of the week.
5 days. The ones that I've tested so far last about 7 to 10 days. Recently, I did have a mishap. It's a business, and I made sure that I reached out to my clients and said, you know what, I am truly sorry. This is my quality, and I'm here to make it right.
So, Sarai, if I tell you, I really need to hire your services for this month, right?
Okay.
It's July. And I need lunch every single day, not just for business days, but for every single day.
From what, Monday to Sunday?
From Monday to Sunday. No.
Yes.
Right? So there is going to be no cheat day, right?
Yeah.
We're going to do it all the time. How do you begin this preparation?
Okay.
And then what is on my menu?
All right, so I'm not there as yet.
Okay.
I'm only doing lunch at the moment. Like I said, quality control, and I need to make sure that I test these meals before I branch out.
But for lunches?
For lunch. So last week I had let me think, because every week what I do, I try to keep it fun for my clients, because eating healthy does not have to be boring. It's not just grilled chicken and salad, right? So I try to keep it fresh, fun, and make you want to eat the food, you know? So this week I had rasta pasta, but the pasta is made with high protein pasta. It's not regular pasta.
Okay.
So you get protein on protein. Now with the ingredients, instead of using milk or cream, I use Greek yogurt, and then I season that. So the texture is a little bit different for clients, but once you get into it for like maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you don't even taste the difference. Now I can't go back to eating normal, because it's like that's not healthy, you know. You don't feel good about eating it. I also have had a street corn street corn bowl, where it's sweet potatoes baked and then grind meat on the top. It's like a loaded bowl. And then I did the street corn, but the street corn is with Greek yogurt and the queso fresco, because the queso fresco is also low calorie.
Yes, I know you have 2 dishes for us, right?
Yes. So we'd like to look at these, because as you mentioned, we'll take them. You can stay seated.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll take them, and then you can explain to us what we have, because you mentioned eating healthy doesn't have to be boring.
No.
and it doesn't have to look like, oh, this is a task. And the ingredients that you've listed for some of your meals, in my view, it's every healthy eater's dream.
Yeah.
Right? Because I was very consistent in the gym last year. I kind of fell off this year, but we're going to work on that. Right? But during that process, I became familiar with every ingredient you mentioned there. And the Greek yogurt replacement for milk, for example, that is the approach you want to take. And so just by saying that alone made me realize you know exactly what you're doing.
I lost 120 on
I'm
this
looking
meal.
at the meal that I have right now, and I'm looking at all of the proteins. I'm looking at the good fats and so forth. And so I see here that we have some thinly cut beef, protein, steak, and then we have some potatoes, and we have our green beans.
Right. So the beef, that is a sous vide beef. It's slowly cooked in a specific temperature. So I work closely with my local butchers in Curacao. So thank you, Curacao, for always in supporting my dreams. And then the mashed potatoes, those are high protein mashed potatoes, believe it or not. So those are made with Greek yogurt, and those have roasted garlic in them as well. So just to add a little touch of flavor. And then your regular green beans.
Now what do we have here? I see and how you differentiate?
That's the rasta pasta.
Make I show them your rasta pasta. Yes, so you have rasta pasta, and I see some chicken.
Yes, so rasta pasta and chicken. The reason why it's separate, usually rasta pasta comes together, but I need to make sure that I weigh out the protein. So that's why I put the chicken separate from the pasta. Now the pasta, again, it's Greek yogurt and then all the other nice stuff. Now, one thing with the meals is that it's very low in sodium. I do include sodium, which is Himalayan salt, but it's moderate. So I make sure that it's the correct portion. If you want to add more sodium, you can do so. So some people, if they eat it just like that and they like salt, they would think it's bland. But once you put salt, all the flavors come out.
So I got to say something, right? Because I was looking at your photos, and we have some of the foods here. This look exactly like your photos. Like, you're not going to be getting scammed with what the meals look like, because this is exactly what you've been posting.
Well, I'm sort of a perfectionist, so when my meals come out of my house, I make sure that they look appealing to the eye.
On a table.
Do you count calories?
Yes, I count calories. The only reason why I don't provide calorie count, I do work with certain clients to provide them the calorie count, because I'm not a licensed nutritionist. But I lost the weight on these meals and did the research.
So you have to be a licensed nutritionist to count the calories?
Oh, to count the calories? Not really. You can count calories on your own. I count calories, and that's how I managed to lose the weight. But lean is not necessarily to lose weight. Lean could be, if you want to lose weight, fine. You can have lean that is about 380 to 480 calories per meal, but you need to make sure that you balance out the rest of the day. Right? Now, if you are in the gym and working out, you could eat lean. If you are hypertensive, you can eat lean. If you're a student going to school, you move to Curacao and your parents are in Belize City, they could get you 5 plates of food and your parents know that you're eating healthy. And busy professionals like you that are in the office and don't have time. Single moms who have to prepare lunch for their husband, their kids, and then they don't have time for themselves because the rest of the family doesn't eat healthy.
How far in advance do we have to order with you?
Yeah, I want to talk a bit about the ordering process and how do you go about it.
Okay, so meals and menus come out on Wednesday. Currently, I have just a specific amount of clients, and then I have a wait list. So I have 3 options. You could continue with lean, you could pause, or you could discontinue. If you discontinue, that's when somebody else comes in. All right. Once you confirm the meals, I require a 50% deposit because the ingredients are high in cost, and I don't like, well, it's not good for me, for business, for them to cancel last minute,
I agree.
right? So I get a 50% deposit, and then on Sunday I prepare meals and send them out. So before you order, you need to make sure that you confirm, and then I'm going to send you my policies, because I do have policies. For example, I think about allergies. If you have allergies, I prefer that you state them, and so forth.
Yeah, what I would do if I had a subscription is I would, I think it looks as if I could eat it for lunch and dinner.
Yes,
Yeah,
some people buy
people
two.
would do that, right? Because breakfast you usually have light, but then lunch might
And
do
dinner.
a rasta pasta, and then go to the gym, and then kind of bulk up further with the beef and the mashed potato and the green
So I do
peas
have
for-
clients who order 2 orders. That's perfectly fine. They're well balanced, and then you know that you're getting a certain amount of protein and a certain amount of calories. So
Now, what's the average cost?
okay, average cost, it depends on where you are, because in Curacao we don't have, I also have personalized packing and shipping boxes and so forth. So I'm working with Zero Belize, which is located in Curacao as well. So we're partnering to make sure that your meals come, well packed. I'm also working on the quality control, so I only ship with tropic air because of the temperatures. So right now, only Belize City and San Pedro. The cost usually for out district is between, I would say, $70 to $90 a plate. Well, for 5 meals. But if you think about it, you go to the bar and you spend $120 at the bar for something that is not healthy, it does not add anything to you, you know. So if you spend on those meals,
And these are a variety of meals. They're quality meals. I think that you would pay $70 for something like this at a restaurant.
Yeah.
Then you can see where you're making your bang for your buck. So like I get it. But for persons that perhaps want to reach out to you, maybe see how they can become a potential client, talk to you about their health journey, how can they reach out?
all right. So on top of Lean, I'm also a content creator. You can find me on TikTok as IamMarie1212. I've shared my journey on there, as well as our Instagram page. It's Lean_Belize, and my number is 606-8596.
All right. Well, Soraya, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us, for sharing Lean with us, for basically making my lunch. I'm very, very excited about this. But of course, if you all want to contact Soraya for any sort of questions and so on, do you have a number that anybody can call you?
Yes, the 606-8596. I prefer them to send messages on WhatsApp because Instagram gets really busy.
Yes.
A lot of people have a lot of questions, and it's a one-man show. It's just me.
For now.
For now.
For now.
I need you the Belmo pan. And once that happens, that's it for me. Thank you so much, Sarah.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, we take a quick break and we're back to wrap things up, so don't go away.
To open in 2020, and that's when COVID came. I thought the dream was dead. People would come to my house, they would purchase the coffees from there. That gave me the little confidence, like, okay, I could do this. Atlantic Bank, of course, helped me take the next step. Once I had their support, it was smooth sailing from there. This business is my life. It's literally what provides my family with food and employment. I employ 3 family members, so it's really everything for us.
Atlantic Bank, building the future together.
Insurance fact. Did you know with Home Protector Insurance, construction projects can receive insurance coverage from start to finish? We offer a variety of bonds. This includes bid bonds, advance payment bond, performance bonds, or others. Let Home Protector be a part of your team and help safeguard you through your next project. Visit any Home Protector Insurance office near you to learn more.
The next station is not just a place. It's the vacation capital of the world, Mexican Caribbean. Do you know why we are the capital of vacations? Because no other place on earth brings together so many ways to vacation in one single destination. Every vacation imaginable. Mexican Caribbean, the vacation capital.
Of auditions, 12 lucky contestants have been selected to compete in KTV The Remix Season 8. And now it's time to see them shine live. Join us at the Bliss Center for the Performing Arts on Tuesday, July 7th at 8 p.m. and cheer on your favorite contestant as they battle it out on stage. Tickets are available now at Greater Belize Media's office on Coney Drive and 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard. Don't miss the excitement of KTV The Remix Live. We'll see you at the Bliss.
Welcome back, and thank you so much for sticking with us. It is Tuesday morning, Paul. We had some lovely conversations today.
Yeah, and so I'd like to thank every single viewer that locked in this morning. It was such a pleasure speaking with Ms. Jacqueline Willoughby as she vies for Mayoral office here in Belize City, and as well as to speak with Ms. Palacio, who brought a conversation about anti-trafficking, really gave us a better understanding of what's taking place globally and the situation here in Belize. And then last but certainly not least, Lean Belize.
Yes.
An amazing small business that is making healthy eating fun and enjoyable and attractive as well. And so I want to thank all our guests for joining us this morning, and also want to thank you, our viewers, for locking in and choosing Open Your Eyes as your morning show of choice. Tonight is KTV The Remix live show premiere. I will be locked in. I'll be having my watch party. Do you think you'll have some time to tune in tonight?
I'm here in the city, so I feel like I want to go and see it.
I like that for you.
I've never actually been to a KTV live show.
We need to get you a ticket free of cost.
I really want to come because I said, like, I always watch it at home. I enjoy watching it at home. But I've always been told that the experience in the Bliss is very, very different. And so I might be, you know, purchasing my tickets and going in and being a viewer.
We need to hook you up. I need nepotism for cronies.
Wait, no, say it like that. But of course, we encourage all of you to come. I encourage all of you to come to the Bliss. Of course, tickets are for $5, and we're selling them right here at our studio in Coney Drive, and of course at 88 Shopping Center. So get your tickets. We have an elimination round for 2 of the contestants tonight, and then of course we're going to be asking you all at home in the audience to cast your votes for your favorite contestant following this premiere night.
Yeah, we do have to wrap up April.
Thank you so much, Paul. It is July 7th, and it has been a lovely Tuesday. And if it is your birthday today, happy birthday to you. And if you have a birthday shout out or just a question or a comment, you can drop us a line here at oie@greaterbelize.com.
You can also catch us live on Facebook every weekday morning at Open Your Eyes BZ, or Instagram for all the behind the scenes content at OYE Belize. You can even catch us on TikTok. That's openyoureyes.bz.
And if you want to contact us or send us a message directly, you can WhatsApp us. We have a number that's 675-2555. But please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow, Wednesday, when you open your eyes
and start your morning right.
Till then, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts wide open.
Good morning, Belize. It looks like it's a windy one this morning and a little gloomy one this morning, so you want to be warm and dry today. See you tomorrow, Belize. Goodbye.
Bye. Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.